Music can just not just change your heart, but change everything about you because it uplifts your spirit. This is a very critical time. People are suffering. We're all isolated. We're all anxious. We're all worried. We all feel lonely. So we want to offer up this great online series, Music Heals. We hope this series will bring inspiration and hope and healing to all of you, as it has for me.
The Consulate General of the Republic of Korea, the Korean Cultural Center in Hong Kong, and I are very happy to support this very meaningful event, Music Heals and HKGNA. We also like to thank Chinese YMCA of Hong Kong, especially during this difficult time of the coronavirus pandemic. More than ever, we need arts and culture to promote well-being, creativity, and engagement to our community. We want to embrace the healing power of music. We are happy to share this message of hope, healing, and wellness. I am sure Dr. Jung will educate, inspire, and enlighten all of us. Thank you.
안녕하세요. This is Hyunju Chong, and I'm a music therapy professor at Ewha Womans University. I'm very happy to be part of this great series. I'd like to give my sincere thank you to Hong Kong Generation Next Arts and Director Michelle Kim for facilitating and promoting wellness for the community at this very difficult time. Also, my thanks to Korean Consulate in Hong Kong and Macau and Korean Cultural Center for supporting this event. My thanks to Chinese YMCA also for spreading this important message of healing music globally. Thank you all. Ewha Womans University is the largest women's university in Asia. At Ewha, music therapy department was established in 1997, so it's been about 23 years. We have about 4 centers under our department. Music Rehabilitation Center carries out projects collaborated with medical hospitals, especially rehabilitation unit, using music to restore speech, motor, and cognitive ability after the neurological damage or stroke. 𝐸𝐜, which is Ewha Music Wellness Center, carries out music psychotherapy projects for well adults who are going through some life changes, such as crisis or traumatic episodes, and who needs professional help. Music Therapy Clinic offers programs for children with developmental disabilities, for example, using singing to promote speech, language, and cognitive skills, instrument playing to promote motor, physical, and social skills. Art Education Therapy Institute offers music therapy outreach programs for school settings where students with ADHD or emotional problems or learning difficulties or school adjustment issues. what is music therapy? Now, let's begin with discussing what music therapy is. I'm sure many of you have heard music therapy already. Music therapy is an academic and professional field. So it is quite different from music being used therapeutically by musicians or music lovers who are non-trained music therapists. But we all know that music has therapeutic power. Anybody can use music for their own or others' well-being. However, when we say music therapy, we refer to the academic and professional training which teaches skills to use music to help clients for specific therapeutic goals through a systematic process. Now let's talk about what makes music therapeutic. In order to answer this, we need to figure out what therapeutic means. Here, therapy means to bring changes, and the change is from a negative state to a positive state. So, when we say music is therapeutic, that it means it brings us changes towards positive state. Then, can really music do that? If it does, then how? And based on what? So we'll examine that one by one from now. The first premise of music's therapeutic effect is that human beings are musical beings. What does that mean? This means that we already have musical components in us. Then, what kind of musical components are they? It is rhythm and melody. Rhythm is the sound structured in time, and melody is created when these sounds have tonal or pitch characteristics. Now, do we really have these two components of rhythm and melody in us? Many researchers examined human innate relationship with music from before their birth. They found out that the relationship with music begins from the intrauterine environment as a fetus. In the intrauterine environment, fetus is exposed to two significant sound sources, which are mother's voice and heartbeat. Here, mother's heartbeat is the sound in time, which matches the definition of rhythm. Mother's voice has a tonal characteristics, which are pitch variation, and this matches the definition of melody. Depending on the mother's state of physical or emotional condition, these two variables change accordingly, and at the same time, fetus is indirectly exposed and experiencing what mother is going through. Exposure to these sound qualities and emotional cues continue on to the postnatal environment, and this serves to be the root of human innate relationship with music. After the birth, the mother engages with the baby through voice and vocal sounds have unique exaggerated pattern. This exaggerated speech pattern is called infant-directed speech. In the infant-directed speech, the mother's unconditional loving message is communicated to the baby using intonation, dynamic variation, expanded vocal range, and articulation. Actually, these are all musical terms. Speaking in continuous flow would be legato, like, hey baby, sweet baby, versus like shortened, detached speech, which would be staccato, right? These are non-verbal characteristics, which are also musical attributes. The point here is that the mother and baby are communicating emotionally via sound patterns which have musical characteristics. So here, what happens is that the mother's voice, vocal sounds, bring the two together and the bonding is established through the vocal interaction, which allows emotional attunement. Now, what is attunement? Attunement means genuine connection established through one's effort to match the other. So, between the mother and child, mother uses voice and visual gestures to match what the baby is going through, and the baby learns about oneself and the environment through mother's feedback, such as when the baby is cranky and crying, the mother can say, "Oh, you're hungry," or "You're wet." So the baby is given this feedback of how he or she is feeling. So in the early stage, we believe that we are symbiotic being with mothers. And when we are separated from our mothers, we have this intense fear and anxiety. However, God has given us the wisdom, even at such early stage of development, to cope with intense fear and anxiety. So we learn how to substitute our attached mother with something else from the environment to console ourselves, such as any toys that we like such as a teddy bear, or clothes, or blanket, or etc. So this behavior is called transitional phenomena, and here mother singing the lullaby can become this transitional object, namely called transitional tune. When the mother is not there, when the secondary caregiver, such as the grandma or the auntie, take care of the baby, they can sing this tune, this lullaby that mother used to sing to the baby, and this lullaby conveys the love and affection on behalf of the mother. The tune consoles the baby just like the mother did. As we grow up, we respond to music with our voice and body. Voice produces the melodic aspect of music, and body responds to the rhythmic aspect of music. This natural tendency to respond and to feel the music is called music child in us, and we all have this music child in us. We produce sound in rhythm, in tones, spontaneously and freely, and these musical expressions are very free, very personal, and very idiosyncratic. They are all individual expressions. From a certain point of growth, however, we stop responding to music freely. We become conscious and shy, and gradually we inhibit ourselves not to be expressive with music anymore. So, this was very vital and alive side of us, which is losing gradually. So we have to somehow get it back. We need to get in touch with our lost music child in us again. This is one way to self-actualize ourselves in music when we are free and we are spontaneous in music. When we sing or perform, we feel so validated and accepted as people hear us and they applaud for our musicality. Our presence in music is what expands our identity from personal to interpersonal and even to social level. It is certainly an existential moment. Music is an emotional tool, and emotion is developmental. This means music should also be developmental, right? For example, a child's emotionality is different from adults' emotionality. Here, emotionality means emotional sensitivity and intensity. This is all reflected in songs. It's very interesting. For example, in a children's song, let's say Lightly Low, the melodic range is within fifth interval. Let's hear it once. Now, we hear a song from older ages. The intervals and melodic range expands as we grow older, and the songs reflect that. This implies that the emotional range also expands with development. So, as an example, let's hear the song Over the Rainbow. It goes over an octave range, right? Now, let's look at what rhythm does. Rhythm is composed of beats, which is the smallest unit of rhythmic components. These beats can be arranged in two different formats. One is maintaining equal time distances among the beats, called rhythmic round or pulsation. The time distance between the pulse can be the gauge of energy level. So for example, if you hear this pattern, this supports our pulse, right? And this pulsation can go through some subdivisions. Let's say this pulse subdivides once. Let's say this subdivided pulse goes even more higher subdivision. You can certainly feel that rhythm is the gauge of the energy level. As the pulsation subdivides, the energy level goes up. So we can say that rhythm governs our energy level. Another pattern is rhythmic figure, which means the time distance among the beats are unequal. So this counteracts pulse. Prompting was called impulse, which means not pulse. Figurative rhythm stirs and stimulates our energy drive. This is the energy continuum in the rhythmic components. The stronger the rhythmic round is, pursues the sedative state, and the opposite end pursues the energy drive. So let's now listen to the sample excerpts. First, the holding piece. I'm sure you can really feel the music helping you for feeling sedation and being in the state of equilibrium. Now, let's listen to the energetic piece. I'm sure now you can feel the energetic drive. Now I want to talk briefly about harmony. This is my favorite part. We discussed that melody is emotion. As you know, harmony supports the melody. Then it should also mean the harmony supports the emotion, right? Because melody is emotion. That should be the logic, right? First, let's look at the word emotion. We can separate the word between E and motion. What does this mean? It means energy in motion. What does this imply? E can also stand for external. So the word implies that it is a form of energy in the motion moving outwardly. Having said that, now let's see how harmony supports the melody and ultimately the emotion in the melody. Harmony should be active in order to help emotion expression in the melody. I'll play 3 versions and you will see how harmony's level of activity assists this emotional flow, this emotional expression in the melody. Let's listen to the first version. The harmonic activity is very limited, and you will see how the limited harmonic progression actually holds the emotional flow and just kind of maintains the status quo of that emotion in one place. So it does not let the emotion in the melody to flow as it should. So now listen. Let's listen to the second version of harmonic activity. In this version, the harmonic activity is a little more active than first version, but still a little limited. There are 3 chords used in this version, but let's see, you still feel that harmonic activity is quite limited. Now listen to the third version. In this version, the harmonic activity is very active. Very active meaning that the harmonic chord changes every time, very intact with the melodic flow, with the melodic progression. So we can say that indeed, harmonic supports melody and the emotion in the melody. So in conclusion, music indeed governs and regulates our emotion. We at times go through emotional and psychological difficulties. To maintain emotional well-being, we need to develop strategies to cope with negative feelings. Since music governs and regulates our emotion, it is most viable and accessible resource to deal with complicated and negative feelings. So, for example, let's look at the word depression. We can understand the term by looking at the vocabulary depression. We can pay attention to the verb form of the word depress. What does that mean? It means to press down deeply. What is pressed down deeply? What is pressed down deeply? It's unresolved emotion. So, what would be the opposite of depression? It would be changing the first syllable, D, to X. So it becomes expression. Then, what would be a most effective medium that can help with expression? The answer is music. Music is the art in time. So this trait of music enables the unresolved emotion to be expressed. As I said, music can help to work with sadness, mourning, and other heavy emotions. Emotions are so special and valuable as it is. We just need to know how to take care and cope with these emotions. If these emotions are not expressed, then they will get depressed. So music can really help. This is how music works with emotional healing of victims and victims' family. Ever since the sorrow has sunk in 2014, many of people, including the victim's family, were so much consoled by this music. Now we have briefly examined the role of rhythm, melody, and harmony. These musical elements can match any negative to positive balance and energy level that we go through in everyday life. We can first select the music that matches our mood and then gradually change the music towards our desired mood. For example, if I feel low and tired, I would select a music that has slow tempo, minor mode, and really confront my feeling deeply. Now, once you have done this job, then you can change to the next music which has the mood you want to refresh yourself with. Lastly, I want to briefly share about music spirituality. Spirituality can be defined in so many different ways. For now, I'd like to just delimitate and narrow down this term as one's ability to access inner strength, inner wisdom, and looking beyond the reality. Human beings have different dimensions of consciousness. Rational reasoning, 이성, intellect, 지성, emotion, 감성, and spiritual, 영성 dimensions. We need to balance them by integrating our thoughts and feelings. And this is what music does, integration. Music is processed at both primary and secondary levels. Primary process involves feelings and emotions. Secondary process involves thought processing such as reasoning, thinking, rationalizing, making meaning, or understanding. Rhythm and melody both employ these two levels of process. Rhythm governs one's energy, melody governs emotion, which are our instinct and inner drive. But at the same time, rhythm is structured in tempo, meter, and melody is composed of tones sequenced in certain tonal structure, along with rules of harmonization and chord progression. So, rhythm and melody employ the two levels of primary and secondary process. Most of the time, we are exposed to external world, and we are so preoccupied with work. We lose the sense of how we feel. We ignore what our emotions tell about the work we do and our inner world. How music helps us with our spirituality is that it redirects our attention to our inner world, to examine who we are, and how we feel. When we deeply listen to the music, we integrate the feelings and insights that is reflected, that is projected by the music. This kind of work deepens our inner world. Again, spiritual work is integrating and going beyond our thoughts and feelings to reach our intuition and inner wisdom. Our inner spirit tells us what our needs are based on this inner wisdom's call, and this feeds our heart. Often music calls our attention. Sometimes we have this strong drive to want to listen to a song so badly, which we heard before. This is the inner call. Maybe a song has some empowering message or confirmation of your being or calling for religious or spiritual support. We can only find out by listening to the music you want to listen. This is called essential music intelligence. Music helps us restore balance and stability for emotional and psychological well-being. So spiritual work of music is the ability to access to inner wisdom going beyond what is happening in the external world. By doing so, your coping of external stressors can be strengthened and the tolerance or threshold can become expanded. Spiritual strength helps us to tolerate and regulate negative emotions. I want to show you a brief video of a client who had a stroke and she got her right upper body paralyzed. We worked with her with rehabilitation unit at the hospital to restore her fine motor skills. She was so depressed in the beginning and she had no motivation to participate in any of the programs. One day we just played the song, You Raise Me Up. And she became so emotional and she was really purging and venting her repressed emotion. She was crying and crying for the state of body that she unexpectedly got into. She sang the lyrics over and over again and decided to receive music rehabilitation program. After 2.5 months of music therapy session, she was able to play this tune of You Raise Me Up with her right hand with such good finger dexterity. It was amazing progress. The therapist provides course to her playing with her, and her therapist accompaniment gives her the sense of reward for music making. It was a spiritual message in the music that pushed her to challenge and not let the present situation stop her. She gained inner strength from the song lyrics and really internalized that spiritual figure in the message. By restoring back these fine motor skills, she was able to send text using her mobile, write emails, grab small objects, so her functioning were gradually coming back. Now I'd like to talk about self-care for this pandemic situation due to COVID-19. We are facing challenging situations due to COVID-19. Emotionally, we are dealing with anxiety, tension, worries about our well-being, both for the present and future. Personally, our everyday whereabouts and regular routine have changed, and the range of locomotion has been restricted due to social distancing and physical boundaries. Interpersonally, we are distanced and separated from others. Our interactions are much limited. What we can do is use this time to work on ourselves, our soft spots and our hang-ups. Soft spot meaning things that trigger us emotionally, and hang-ups meaning things that are unresolved from the past that affect our behavior in the present. For example, I had a client who had stage fright, and every time she was presenting something in the class or at work, she would not perform as well as she could. She's using this time to work on her self-consciousness. She's learning how to sing and taking vocal lessons to learn how to project herself and be herself freely and not inhibit herself due to this self-consciousness. She wants to feel the empowerment by making loud voices and being able to be heard by others. So she's learning how to allow herself to be heard by the others. Now she's going to challenge herself to sing in front of many people once this pandemic situation winds down a bit. I can also make 2 suggestions for self-care. If you have a negative emotion, such as depression, sadness, or heavy feelings due to worries and concerns, listen to your emotion. Feel that emotion and try to figure out what those emotions are telling you. Because emotions do talk, and they're all precious messages from your inner world. Feel those emotions, and there must be something that the emotions is telling you, and they're calling your attention for this feeling. Maybe there is something that is left to mourn or to yearn, something intimate in yourself. Listen to what those emotions are telling you. Lastly, you can use this opportunity to develop a coping strength. Use music to investigate what is positive resource in you. Do not dwell on something that you don't have, but focus on something that you have and make the best out of it. If you're a person who can get excited and passionate about something, that excitement and that energy of passion is in you. It's a matter of how to get access to it. Use music to get access to the part within yourself, and whenever you need to feel this passion, use that music to get in touch with that feeling. And you can name this a passion song or energy song. This is end of my lecture, and thank you so much for listening. I hope you have gained some good insights on how to use it for yourself. Again, thank you very much for having me to take part in this great series for music healing. Thank you very much to Hong Kong Generation Next Arts. 감사합니다.